NFLPA Executive Director Demarius Smith had this to say about it. I don't see an 18-game schedule under any circumstance being in the best interest of our players. If somebody wants to make an 18-game proposal, we'll look at it. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that it would be good for the players. Now, we've seen a 16-game regular season schedule since 1978. This is the longest period of time we have gone without a change to the number of games played in the regular season. Schefter, we got a long way to go, but it doesn't seem right now Players Association is in the corner of this.
Listen, right now, Wendy, we're going to get more collective bargaining talks this week. There are 3 days of talks scheduled, July 17th, 18th, 19th. Both sides are motivated to try to get a new CBA done before the start of the season, if not during the season. And this story will be told during those talks and those negotiations. We'll find out. But I think whether they reduce or eliminate the preseason, whether they expand the postseason to a 7th team in each conference, remains to be seen. The one thing that is hard for me to imagine, based on many conversations, is there being a scenario where there will be an 18-game regular season. I don't see that happening. Now, look, if the owners step up and give tremendous concessions and it's something that they really want, things always can be worked out. But to me, that's hard to imagine that the players are going to sign off on 18 games. 17? Maybe. 18? I don't see that happening. But the question is, what form does the new schedule take once the new CBA is done?
How much money you got?
Well,
I'm a player. I'm a player. And if you're telling me, Lewis said, I got to play 2 more games, how much money are you going to share with me? Right? I mean, we're not going to do it for free.
How much is it going to come to when you have 53 guys on the roster divvying up? Let's say it's $20 million. Would you go play an extra 2 games for $500,000?
No, but I don't think it's going to work that way. If you're looking at it, though, Adam, and you're saying, give me a proration of what I'm making on a game-to-game basis. So if I'm making $4 million a game, if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm making, I don't know, $10 million a game or whatever that number will be, whatever the number
35, is. 16, $2 million a game.
Okay, so if it's $2 million a game, are you going to give me an extra $4 million for those 2 games? And I would think that players would look at that and say, if I'm going to be on the field for 2 more games, sure, give me $4 million. I'll do it. And you want to get rid of the preseason, because let's face it, preseason is really about the owners and the gates, because the top players don't play. You look at the Rams. They played no one.
A lot of teams
and they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is, are the owners willing to share more? Of
you're saying if the price is right.
Right.
What
are they? Would the players listen if they're willing to share more, and it financially was in their best interest to do so? Yeah, money usually does.
Money's going to talk.
Yeah, it usually does. Now, most of the time, though, in my experience, rich guys don't get rich because they're willing to give away their money. All right, and I just don't see. I mean, look, Demarius Smith is saying he sees under no circumstances that an 18-game schedule will be adopted or agreed to under any circumstances. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
That's his stance right now, though, clearly, before 3 days.
We'll see. I see. I mean, it seems to me like players would be very much so behind the idea of doing away with the preseason for sure. I think that is going to go by the wayside in due time.
In entirety,
right.
I think.
And I mean, I don't necessarily – look, I understand that in today's game, the top players don't play, and many people look at the preseason as being something that is useless. In my time, I thought it was very useful for players like myself, players who were Final 14 roster spot players, and I do believe that the league – it's funny, we say that we don't need the preseason right now, but in the first month of the season when we're complaining about the quality of play, well, why do you think that is? It's because, look, they don't practice in the offseason anyway. If teams don't play in the preseason, then how do you get good at football if you're not playing football? So
that argument is always made, though, Lewis. You can't get good at not doing the things that you're going to do during the regular season. But much like you just said, there's a ton of teams that are very good, and their guys don't play at all in the preseason. Yes, you want the guys that are on a bubble, you want to have them get some live action. I understand that. But if you're a coach and you're a front office guy, you can't evaluate talent in T-shirts and shorts. You do it at the combine. You sure do it at the combine. You still claim
they
guys
say they do.
Well, but you know what I'm saying. They running around.
Well, sure. I mean, we
guys.
we can twist it into like justifying what we want the end result to be, however we want. You're right. We could say, hey, look, we do it at the combine. Why can't we just do it in training camp? Sure. You're right.
They do it in OTAs.
You're right. At the end of the day, Money's going to talk.
Money's gonna talk.
That's really
and I
smart.
haven't heard
That's economics.
anybody on either side say, "Well, will money solve the issue?" Nobody said it. D. Smith hadn't said it. No owner side has said it. Said nothing about money. Nothing at all. Everything is just about schedule, adding game. We'll add
Player
games.
safety, yeah.
Yeah, let's say it this way. If you heard somebody say we're gonna add some games and some money, now watch those talks change.
Well,
I
and that will
understand, and I
happen.
agree with everything you say. Look, money, if the NFL owners want it badly enough, they can make the 18-game schedule happen. But it's hard to hear all this talk for all these years about player safety and head injuries, and now we're going to expand to 18 games. Those two ideas just don't go together very well in my mind.
How many times have you heard
that's
the
a whole nother
NFL say
discussion.
things
Yeah,
that didn't
exactly.
make sense?
Okay, because remember now, last year at the beginning of the season, remember the emphasis on removing the head out of the game, removing the head out of the game. You're going to see a lot of penalties. You're going to see we're going to protect the players. What did we see happen in the NFC Championship game? We saw a player shellac a wide receiver.
You mean that
straight
guy
in the
that hit
face.
that guy?
They didn't call a penalty and do nothing, and had two guys within 5 yards looking right at the play like
He didn't see it.
nothing.
He didn't see it.
Not one. Not one.
Exactly. So
Well,
I mean,
listen,
come on.
we mentioned this before, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I believe, Adam, are the day these talks are expected to intensify. We'll see. We got a long way to go as the two sides try to reach a new collective bargaining agreement.